Hopefully you're in the right place for our EforAll deep dive about scaling your business. I am going to share my screen and just bring up a quick little set of slides that gets us kicked off here. View, present. You'd think I know how to do this by now. This is a monthly program that EforAll runs for really our whole community, our alumni, our current clients, anyone who wants to join us on a topic that we think will help you grow beyond our basic accelerator classes. If you've never checked out these before, we have some fantastic ones, including getting certified as a woman or minority-owned business, hiring your first employee, search optimizing your website, anything we can think of, we will run a deep dive on it. We record them all and they are available to you on our EforAll website. I like to thank the sponsors of EforAll Berkshire County. My name is Deborah Gallant. I'm the Executive Director of EforAll in Berkshire County. And if we didn't have these folks funding us, we would not be here presenting this to you. So I like to thank them at every opportunity. These are the latest statistics, and I'll thank Julie Smith, our Director of Marketing for EforAll, for running our alumni survey. We are an amazing program, if I do say so myself. These are the latest statistics that talk about the programs, businesses that have been started by all of our programs. I believe we're in 15 different sites now. And let me just admit all the rest of the people. And growing all the time, Northwest Arkansas, Buffalo, Longmont, Colorado. We are a program to be reckoned with. And if you're starting a business or growing a business, you should know about us. So I always put this slide in here because sometimes people have arrived and they go, what is EforAll? And I want you to know. So there are deep dives every month. If you like this one, or if you've never experienced one and at the end you go, gee, I want more of these. They are archived, as I said. Next month is going to be about networking for success and how you can open doors with connections. And we'll be having an alumni panel for that one as well. We're going to have one on building your sales pipeline in October. And we're going to be partnering with Forge to present one on manufacturing in November. So I'm going to stop the sharing and come back to the main screen here. The format for today is going to be, I'm going to introduce our panelists. They're going to talk a little bit about their growth story. So these are folks who've been presented to us from all of our different EforAll sites. We basically sent out an all call. Who's grown from startup to being a bigger business? And these were the folks who were suggested to us and said that they would participate. I will admit I asked about 3 or 4 other people and they were too busy. So I guess that's a good sign that they were too busy to do it. We have had quite a lot of successful small businesses scale up and become million-dollar kinds of businesses, multi-location businesses, hundreds of employees kind of businesses. And it can be very daunting if you're sitting at home running a one-person business, or it's a husband and wife running a business, and go, how do I get from here to there? Well, that's what we want to be talking about today. So I am actually going to throw the floor over, first of all, to each of our panelists and let them tell their story, how they started small, how they grew to where they are. And Frances, she came to us from Colorado with an organization, a company called Vulcan Azul Catering. And she came on early and said, I hope it's okay, Jack is here with me too. And I'm like, there's a story here and she's going to tell it. I don't know who Jack is or why he's there and how she got started. This is one of our Longmont, Colorado participants. And let's take the next 10 or 15 minutes. I'm just going to mute myself unless I'm going to butt in and ask questions, because I sometimes do that, for you to tell your story of how you got started, how you've grown, what some of the growing pains have been, and then we will throw to our next panelists after that. So Frances and Jack, welcome.
Thank you. So I'm Frances, and I started Vulcan Azul Catering 4 years ago, actually now, in 2017. And that was when I turned 50 years old. I said to myself, if I don't do this now, I always wanted to have a food business because I love cooking, and I wanted a catering business because I love partying. So cooking and partying, catering, right? And at 50 years old, I said, if I don't do it now, I will not do it because life gets busy and energy goes out. So I had been teaching, and I'm still teaching. I'm a lifelong teacher, been teaching for 27 years. So I quit my full-time job, and I am continuing with teaching part-time on a very part-time basis because I'm invested in the teachers, what we call PERA here, the retirement system. So I have, I don't know, about 6-7 more years to go, I believe, and then I can retire from that, and that's another chapter, right? But Volcán Azul started 4 years ago out of this passion that I've had in me for a long, long time. And I've had always little businesses on the side that I sold food on the side to colleagues and friends. And so when I started Volcán Azul Catering, I had this idea of catering parties like we do in Mexico, at least in Mexico City, where Jack and I are from. And in a minute, I'll let Jack introduce himself. But the catering that we do in Mexico, I mean, you have all kinds of parties, but one of them is kind of like a mercado, a market. And so what I do is with Volcán Azul, I bring the market, the mercado experience to your event. So picture different stations, each one with a different dish and a different server, preparing the food right in front of your eyes and interacting with you as you ask for your food and cater it to yourself. So you get to know the server, the recipe, whatever you want to know about that dish. And it's a lot of fun because—
But Francis, it sounds to me like you couldn't have ever done it on your own to start with because you needed all these different servers and the different stations. So you were hiring people from day one, right?
Correct. So when I started this company, I actually did it by myself. The first catering event was a friend of mine who's in the education business said, I'm going to have an event for my teachers, for 20 teachers. And she knew that I wanted to do this. Do you want to do it? So I did a buffet style. So that was the first time. But then I did hire contracted, not hire full-time staff, but contracted people that I met in the community. I am from Mexico City, so I actually wanted Latinos that knew how to cook Latino food because that's what we do. Mercado es Latinos. Our mercado is Latino. There's all kinds of mercados. So I hired 3 people, and they helped me cook in the kitchen. I have I can never pronounce this right. Commissary or commissary? You guys get me. So I hired them to cook with me, and we created a sort of menu that now is sort of stable. I have it. It's pretty stable, but if you don't want anything from the menu, if you want something else, we'll do it too. But I have a menu that has all kinds of foods that we can prop in stations. So when we had events, we would, I would rent this commissary kitchen, get my helpers come in, we would cook for that event, and then go out together in my car, put all the equipment, all the food in my car, and set up and have a mercado experience for parties. The largest party we've done is 85 people, but little parties. So that's how we started. And then a year in 2018, I decided to buy a food truck because I had this idea that a food truck would be, a little food truck would be one of the stands. And then eventually we could buy more. And every person that owns the food truck would bring it, and every food truck would be a different station. Well, that got a little bit out of hand. It started growing really fast. Not that I was purchasing food trucks, but the people that wanted to have the food truck at their venue. And in 2018, we had several breweries. We have more now in town in Longmont. You know, Colorado is known for its weed and its beer. So we have a lot of breweries in town and the mountains, of course, but people forget about that, right? It's more the weed and the beer. So breweries, I went to breweries and I started out asking if I could be there. And I was one of the first food trucks that was working together in breweries with breweries, and I would have a day for a different brewery to be there in the evenings, like from 4 to 8. And it got really big, really fast, and I couldn't manage it by myself. So I had my 3 helpers helping me cook, but they could not do the food truck with me. So I was the only one doing the food truck. And then that happened for about a year and a half, and then COVID came and it all died because the breweries had to close down. The events that we had, of course, we closed down, and that gave me a good time to think about what's really my focus here. And I entered EforAll, and I'm so thankful to everything I learned in the accelerator program, because really I was running a business without even knowing how much money I was earning. I didn't even have an accounting system. I didn't even have an idea of the terminology. Like, I didn't know what income was. I'm a teacher. I get a paycheck, so I didn't know that I had to pay taxes. I didn't know that I had to fill out a 1040, is it called 1040, I think, for my contracted employees. I didn't know anything. So with EforAll, I started sort of like taking a step back and thinking, what is it that I really want to do? Do I want the food truck? Do I want the catering? Because it's a little too much to do both. And that's where Jack comes in. So I'm going to let Jack introduce himself.
My name is Jack Zandawix. I'm from Mexico City, where I studied marketing and worked in e-commerce for a few years. And I've been talking with Fran, who's part of my family, for a while, and talking about the business, and she's told me all about it. And it sounds super fun and super interesting. So I wanted to come over here and help her out with some of the marketing activities, and also growing the social media and updating the website and doing a lot of work in order to help grow the business and keep going with both the catering and the food truck. So yeah, the plan is to start by listening to our clients and see what they want, and also keep on doing the events that we're doing and see what we can learn from there to keep on growing.
Can you give me an idea of the scale that you have? And maybe you can't tell because it's still so early post-COVID, but it started as just you running one party for 20 teachers, right? How many parties before you got shut down? How many parties, how many food trucks? How big was the operation?
Yeah, so in 2018, I started 2017, a year afterwards. I was going out to breweries 3 times a week. So Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays, and then having a catered event maybe once a month, either Saturday or Friday night or Sundays. So it was a lot for one person. And although I had people helping me, like I contracted people, I really wanted to partner up with them, but they were not willing to go there. So, that is that. So sometimes they would help me with the food truck. If I knew, for example, Fridays, it's a very busy day in the breweries, and I couldn't do it by myself. So I would bring one of them. So yeah, it grew from a one person's catering event to a food truck and catering event of 4 people, me and 3 helpers. And the 3 helpers was not like every day, the 3 of them. It would be, we would take turns. Sometimes 2 of them would cook with me. One of them would go on Fridays to a brewery, events, maybe depending on the size. If it was going to be 80 people, it was all 4 of us, right? If it was just going to be 20 people, 2 of us. So we would have it sort of like, I wanted to say 20 people could be 1 person, but I could never, it's just easier to share the wealth and have help instead of running everything by myself. Because if something goes wrong, you can always rely on the head and the hands and the physical work of somebody else. And I believe that teams are always stronger. So that 1.5 years was really fast and furious. And I don't know if things happen for a reason. Yeah, COVID is here, not for my reason, but I took the advantage of breathing and thinking, what is it that I really want to do? And talking with Jack is like, we can do both. We can have a food truck operating on a almost daily basis, and we can have the catering. And our goal is to continue with the Mercado experience. And we're starting to call back the people that I had before COVID. They are busy. They got a full-time job by now. So we have to start from 0 again and find helpers that would be passionate about setting up a Mercado. Because in a Mercado, you have to be a little bit outgoing. It's not just serving. You have to sort of scream and invite people to come see what you're doing. Like, if you're doing, I don't know, quesadillas, you want to say, quesadillas, venga por las quesadillas, de queso, de papa. So, you have to be a little bit outgoing and be able to make an atmosphere that it's fun and loud.
I'm going to pass it to the next panelist in a minute, but let me just ask you, if you can, what did you learn about systematizing your business and being smart about it during EforAll? Can you summarize what your lessons were?
Yeah. First of all, you know exactly what you're putting in, and you not only make your time money. Your time is money. So every hour you put yourself, or whatever your salary is, you got to put that into consideration, right? So your time is money, your expenses are money. So what you're putting in for the business and what you're bringing in from the business, and doing the accounting correctly made me see that I put in about, so far, 38% is an expense of the 100% that we earn. So we're earning about 60%. And that's really good to know, and I think we can even become better, because as you become bigger, you can actually, instead of buying at Sam's, you can actually buy bigger, bulk. We go to Sam's, that's what we have in town, but Sam's is expensive. For those of you that are in the food business, Sam's is pretty expensive when you compare to people that can bring into your commissary, that can bring in food. Yeah, you would be saving even, pennies. When you sum up all the pennies, it's money. And so what I've learned from EforAll is that you gotta keep your money. If you want to grow, you want to know how much you're putting in and how much you're bringing in.
So getting big just to get big isn't the point. It's growing big and making more money while you're growing it.
Yeah, I mean, correct, right? I mean, that's one of the things. I always dreamed about having a colaborativa, a cooperativa, a cooperative in which everybody who's part of the business earns maybe even the same amount. So we'll see if we can ever get there, so that everybody who's employed is also feeling like they're part of something bigger than them. But as for now, yeah, money is very important. If you're not making a good profit, you can get really tired pretty fast and feel like, oh my God, and that's how I was feeling until I saw that, hey, I'm making 60% out of 100. It's not that bad.
Right. So Jack, do you have anything you want to add? I mean, you looked at this business to join it, so you must have thought it was pretty good, right?
Yeah, well, the invitation to join the business was very attractive because I also like food and cooking very much. And I also want to have the opportunity to scale the business and grow along with Fran and grow the catering and the food truck. So I think it's very important to always keep a good attitude and to be able to learn from your experience and your mistakes and keep on looking forward in order to evolve the business and in order to look forward and be able to grow it in a sustainable way so that it doesn't grow too fast and gets out of hand.
Great. All right, I'm going to thank you. And you guys can mute yourself. And Louis, are you with us? Are you home? Are you still on the phone? Good job, guys and gals.
Nope.
Can you talk?
Yep, I'm here. You see me?
Okay, fantastic. We gotcha. So Louis, let's hear your story for 10 or 15 minutes.
So how we got started?
Everything from the beginning to then. And here's what's really funny. I invited you thinking I was inviting you to talk about Juice Cafe, and then you replied from a sheer genius barbershop. So there's obviously something else going on here, and you need to tell me the story.
Okay, yeah, because that's like when they email us, that's where, oh, here we go. I'll tell you just like this. That was the original business I had before I went to EforAll. So when I applied to EforAll, they have my Share Genius email, which is my barbershops. And I didn't have a Juice Cafe one because there was no business.
So that's how they know you.
EforAll helped me create the Juice Cafe, which was originally thought of. The name was going to be Juicy Burrito because you can get a juice in a burrito. Then my buddy's like, that sounds like a soggy, wet burrito. I don't know if that's a good idea. I thought it was great.
Let's start at the beginning. Where are you physically in space? You're in the South Coast, right?
Yes, I'm in the South Coast. I'm in Fall River, Massachusetts.
And you were a barber.
I'm from the hair industry. I started as a young kid. I always cut hair and wanted to become a barber, but didn't know how to go about it. So I joined the military and was a helicopter mechanic in the military for a few years, 4 years. Got out and was dating my wife, and she lives in Fall River. I'm originally from New Bedford, which is the next city over, and moved to Fall River and started my barbering career. With the barbering, we opened 3 barbershops and a hair salon, and we've always been into like healthy eating and fitness and that lifestyle. So we knew that like when we traveled around to different hair shows around the country, we seen healthy eating options, but we know that there's no such thing around where we live. So we wanted to create like a juice bar, but we knew that a juice bar wouldn't bring in the income for a business to sustain itself. So that's when we thought of combining several different concepts to create our own. And my wife, she's a phenomenal cook, and I like to push the boundaries. So I'm like, hey, let's open a restaurant. And EforAll was, I seen it in my email from a small business, the chamber, And I was like, let me apply for this. Why not, right? It said, if you have any ideas that you'd like to create a business, apply. So I did. I applied like midnight. I had like 1 day before the final deadline. So I was like, let me apply for this. And if, let me apply right now. And if anything goes wrong, I got 1 more day to fix it in case if they respond to me. So we woke up in the morning. I told my wife, hey, I applied for this entrepreneur program. They like help you create a business. And she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, we talked about opening like a little restaurant. And she's like, oh, you're crazy. So I'm like, all right, thought nothing of it. And then I received the email to go and go in front of David Parker and all these big wigs and an interview. So I'm like, all right. So I did that, and they liked it. And David liked the fact that I've already owned multiple things and was an entrepreneur from when I was very young, selling t-shirts, my own t-shirts at Fenway. And, so that's why they gave us a shot. And EforAll helped us form our idea, which is now the Juice Cafe, where we're a healthy, fast casual restaurant. It's a lot of grab and go, but it's all natural juices, smoothies, salads, wraps, burritos, just healthy food. It's quick, it's fast, and it's all natural. No additives in any of our products at all. No fillers, no MSG, no anything. So we're considered a clean label restaurant.
And where are you located? Where's the
I
store?
have 2 locations. We have 2 locations. One location's in Fall River that we opened in January of 2017, and we have New Bedford, which we opened in 2019. So right before the pandemic.
And how did you fare during the pandemic? Tell us.
We actually did all right. We kept our head above water. And at the tail end of the pandemic, which was this year, we had our best year. So our first months are usually our best months because people want to get healthy. So we do well in those months, in January, February, March, the first quarter, and we beat all our numbers of the previous years. And then now it's getting back to normal. People are eating out more, so it tails off for us in the summer a little bit. And New Bedford hasn't recovered fully from the pandemic because we had only been open 8 months when the pandemic hit. So we're still trying to pull that one back to speed where it was before the pandemic. But we did really well in our second location before that. So at one point we had 3 locations because we had opened in Newport, Rhode Island, which is a port town, and it's very touristy. And we noticed that that's really not our clientele because people on vacation. So although we fared very, very well, we did really well. Our numbers were actually probably better than our main location, which does phenomenal. But that window of earning income is only 12 weeks. You only got about 12 weeks to make some money. And then once all the tourists leave, our revenue cut in half once a Labor Day came. And then by Thanksgiving, it goes to like 10% because everyone's gone.
No, it's a summer tourist town. Tell me, you talk about it in such a casual and easy way. We had multiple barbershops. We were in 3 locations. I think most folks who would running one restaurant feel overwhelmed by just running one restaurant. How did you decide to go to 2 and then to 3?
I think this is my nature. I think I like to be busy. Like if I'm not busy, I feel like something's not right. And now I'm a little bit overwhelmed, because we came out of COVID, and we have to fix things. We have to see how we can get New Bedford back to what it was doing. So I know that New Bedford will work because it did, right? So it did work, and it wasn't just like, oh, it worked for the first because we were new. No, because we were there 8 months, and we went through winter, and then the numbers we were projecting to see, we seen in our first quarter, like I said, which was always great. And then on March 14th, when the governor shut the state down, things changed. So now we have to recover from that March 14th day. So I think that our product and our brand and what we're about is the future. People want to eat healthy. People need to eat healthy, because if not, they'll be sick and they'll live longer and they'll feel better about themselves. So I think that it's not just a flash in the pan. This is the future. People want to eat healthy, because now they're educated enough to know the benefits.
All right, we're gonna come back to you, Louis, because your story there's so many twists and turns to it. But I have to say, it scares me a little bit that you said it's just my personality. I'm ready to go big. Like, what if you don't have that personality? Should you not expand? Should you not grow big?
I think I maybe not. Because you have to be ready to handle that. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. So you have to be ready. You have to be ready for that, Like for us, we're in a position now, how much more do we want to grow? I've already grown my barbershop business for 22 years. It takes a lot of energy to do that. So you have to be ready and understand what's ahead, All
right. We're going to come back and hear more about Louis's story. Our third panelist is now with us. Karina is here representing Chamba LLC. Chamba is out of our Longmont, Colorado site. Karina, are you with us? Can we see and hear you?
Hi, can you hear me?
We can, and there she is in her
Hi,
car.
everybody.
She got her time zone wrong, but she made it anyway. Thank you.
I was able to make it, thank God. Yeah, the time zone, there was a confusion there. But hi, everybody. My name is Corina Hierro. I'm part of Chamba app. So this is a bilingual platform where we connect our Latino community with jobs. And we launched during the pandemic. Most of us in the team, it's only one person who is not Latino. So we saw the need right when the pandemic hit. A lot of people, millions of people lost their jobs. So we thought about, hey, why not use technology to connect them with the people that need them? And so far, we have grown over 65,000 users inside of the platform, and we've had over 2,500 jobs created. So we've been able to connect hundreds of workers, of employees. So that's been great for us. And thanks to EforAll, we were able to connect with advisors and other entrepreneurs, VCs. So it was an amazing program to go through here in Longmont. We found it by ourselves. So we were just looking for resources to grow.
That's great. So, and here's the great thing is Karina's like a walking advertisement for both EforAll and for our next deep dive, which is going to be about networking, because the connections are really what makes and breaks a small business. Can you tell us the story of the idea of Chamba and who the team was and how did you even get it started? Is it like Hewlett and Packard who started in someone's garage? I mean, that's probably an out of date kind of story and everyone's virtual now. So, but that's sort of the myth of the entrepreneurs tinkering in the garage and figuring out a project. How did you guys do this and how many people were involved?
So it all started, so one of the co-founders is Diego Montemayor. He was in Colombia at the time that he thought about Chamba, because he was looking for somebody to fix his clothes, tailor his clothes, and he wasn't able to do that. So right when he came back to the US, the pandemic hit, and he had this idea of why isn't there an app where we connect the Latino community, or there's no platform specifically catered to the Latino community. And this particular community was greatly affected during the pandemic. So it was really funny. The very first person that he found was David, who is the co-founder. He is a developer using a hashtag. So it was all through Instagram, actually. That's how he connected with David, and then he eventually.
And he's not in Colorado.
No, he's actually in Colombia. So part of the team is in Colombia, and part of the team is in Colorado. So we got the team together. It was him and David that started, and then they looked for more developers, people in marketing, and me. I do a little bit of communications, PR, marketing. We wear several hats, especially when you're growing a business and growing a company. You have to do a little bit of a lot. So that's how the team was created. I have a past in the TV industry. So I was a reporter. I was a TV reporter, and I always worked with the Latino community. I'm an immigrant myself. I came to this country when I was little. I was a small little girl, 7-year-old. This happened over 20 years ago. So as immigrants, we completely understand, the struggle and everything that immigrants face in this country. And sometimes it's resources, it's knowing, having connections to get you to, that next job or not that next promotion. So that's how we created Chamba. And, it's what drives us every day to get out of bed and continue, helping people out. It's very satisfying to see, technology being used in this way, something positive.
Did you all quit your day jobs to do this?
Yes and no. Some of us were still freelancing here and there, but right now, some of us are working our day jobs and others are in it full time.
And what's the revenue model for this business? How are you guys making money?
So we decided that we're not going to charge the job seeker, right? You're looking for a job, so we're not going to charge you. So right now we're only charging the companies that post with us. So if you are looking for staff, you have 3 different payment plans. You can pay based on how many applicants you get. So it's per application. We have a standard plan, which is at $39.99 a month, which gives you 3 job listings for 20 days each. And then we have the unlimited plan, which we see a lot of staffing companies use, because we do work with a lot of staffing companies, and that's $100 a month.
And are you just regional or are you national?
So we are national. We do operate on all 50 states. And actually, we initially here in Colorado, we were the strongest. But now, once we expanded, California is a huge market for us, LA area, and also New York. And it was really funny how some of the things happened, right? Because as entrepreneurs, you have to get creative when you have limited sources or limited funding. So a lot of what I do is, get creative on social media, telling our story, finding, exposure, obviously talking to the news or news stations, doing press releases and things like that, to get the word out about Chamba. So a reporter in LA actually found one of our TikToks. We post on there as well. We've gone viral a couple of times thanks to TikTok, right? We never know we underestimate the power of social media. So a reporter in LA found us, and then she wrote an article about us in La Opinión, which is a huge newspaper in Los Angeles. So then from there, Telemundo picked up on the story, and we did interviews in LA, and then that story went national. So once that happened, we were able to expand in different states. It was growing slowly in different areas, but definitely when we aired on national television, especially for the Latino market, in a Spanish TV station like Telemundo, we gained more businesses and more users.
So I want to make sure I understand the value proposition. So if I'm looking for a bilingual employee, you're able to reach a base of Latin applicants that I wouldn't be able to identify and narrow down any other way. Is that right?
Yeah, so we have that direct contact with the Latino community. That's the demographic that we have in the app right now too. Great.
Okay, so that's terrific. Thank you for that background, Karina. So I am gonna ask our audience, if you have questions, please type them in and we can unmute folks one at a time. And we can also just read your questions over chat if you prefer that. I actually want to start with asking the Vulcan Azul team, Louis and Karina, if you all have any questions for each other, because I don't know if you all know each other's stories, and I wondered if there was anything you wanted to ask each other. Nothing?
No,
All right.
no.
So any questions for me?
Well, I know you, Corina. Corina and Diego and I know each other from EforAll.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and I have to say that Volcan Azul was one of the guinea pigs with Diego. Like we were a member of Chamba, and we did find some staff members. The only thing is that they were in Denver. I'm in Longmont, that's 50 minutes away, so it was too much for them to drive, for a part-time position. So Chamba is awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You guys are doing an amazing job too. Yeah, I remember right when we started, we faced a lot of challenges.
Yeah.
And trying to find the right people for each employer. So it's something you tackle these problems as you grow the business. But yeah, we are doing local marketing, and the way we've expanded is using influencers, TV, many different ways, but primarily a lot of ads on social media and just promoting.
So can I ask you a question? Because Corina, and then I have one for you, Luis. If that's okay. Is that okay? Yeah. So I see your Chamba Instagram, your ads, and I love them because they are the stories of people that are talking about their jobs. How do you find these people? Or how do you do these stories?
So for content, we do a little bit of everything. Sometimes it is people sending over their own videos because we invite them to send them, their videos of them chambeando, en la chamba. So they send us their videos. I ask them a couple questions like, hey, where are you from? Where are you working? How many years have you been in the US? So that enables us to, tell a little story along with each video, even if the video is quick and short, 5 to 15 seconds. And then other videos we see on other platforms like TikTok. And then we talk to them. We ask them for permission if we can share on our social media platforms. And then that's also a way of, cross promotion, and then introducing ourselves to them.
Thanks. Can I ask a question to Luis? Okay, so can you give us a little tip for your marketing strategy?
Our marketing strategy.
Yeah.
We have a marketing team, but what I always try to do is I try to just stay up on the latest trends and learn anything and bring that to my marketing team. And I think that a big thing about marketing when it comes to food is great photos. People eat with their eyes, so like photos, the angle, the lighting, anything that can bring people in the door, is very key. So just remember, like for marketing, I would say photos first, and then everything else later.
Kimberly, will you ask your question yourself, because it's such a good one, and we'll see which of the panelists want to answer it.
Hi, so my name is Kim, and I just opened a business called Soul Good Confections, and I'm making coconut caramels. They're vegan, dairy free, and I'm working on building this all by myself. And so at this point, I realized that I can't do it all myself, and I really don't have a lot of funds to pay somebody more than once a week. And and coming here to see scale, to see how you are all scaling was really interesting to me, because I have to figure out how I'm going to do that. So my question has to do with, how did you realize you couldn't do your business by yourself or with a partner? Because I don't have a partner. And how did you pay for them? How did you pay for the people once you got there? Because I'm not I know I need to scale, but I don't have the income right now to pay somebody. So how does that, how did you approach that? And can you give me some advice on how to manage it?
Kimberly, it's a great question. I think that it's really sort of the entrepreneur's dilemma, right? If I don't have more people, I can't get bigger, but I can't pay people. So how do I get bigger? So who wants to take that one first? Louis?
So yeah, I'll chime in on that, because I learned a great thing from my mentor. He says, sales fix everything. So if you can try to sell as many units as possible yourself, and then try to hire someone, but give someone enough work that they can take something off your plate so you can go tackle something bigger, you know. But sales, try to get your product in as many places as you can, and just try to build it that way.
I think what Lewis is saying is maybe if you could get pre-orders, then you'd feel like the income was going to come in, so you could justify the hiring. I don't know if Karina or Francis and Jack want to chime in on that question.
Yeah. Also, I think something good would be to do as much as you can by yourself. You could promote yourself on social media, and that could also help you get some sales. And as you start getting more business, you could look into hiring someone young, someone that is still studying and doesn't have much experience, because young people always need to get experience before they can get like a good job. And starting with a startup company is a great place to start. And a lot of young people are usually excited to get some work and do things that could help you grow and help themselves grow too.
Good advice.
My product is very time consuming to make, and so it's I live on a busy street. Sorry, I had to mute. It's very time consuming to make. So my shift, I can only make so much. And so I've just got to be able to produce more and get somebody else to help me in the kitchen. And then I'm so excited to have the business, but to manage every single thing is,
there's a suggestion in the chat that a virtual assistant could be a place to start, to give them minor tasks so that you can focus on what you're good at. But I think Lewis's point about if you can get sales, I would think even pre-sales or partnerships where somebody takes it on. So you do wedding showers and you know that there are going to be 4 next month, and then you could, you know, just to get pre-bookings of these things so that you can justify the hiring. I'm going to ask my own question, and then I see there's another 1 or 2 in the chat. Has anyone taken outside money into their business, of the folks who are our panelists? And if so, what was that process like? Karina, did you guys take money? You're muted. You're muted.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, we raised funding from an angel investor. This was back in October. And we used a safe note from Y Combinator.
Okay, no one knows what any of what you just said meant. So now you have to be really explicit. An angel investor that you found from Y Combinator. How did you figure out the terms? How did you negotiate it? Did you hire a lawyer? How much money did you decide to take? I want more.
Yeah, so we raised $100,000 from, this was a connection that Diego had with somebody that he met when he was working at the United Nations. So he was able to make that connection. As far as the specific terms, now I don't have a lot of specifics, but it was an exchange of equity in the company. So using the safe note from Y Combinator, that's basically what it is it's money in exchange for a percentage of the company.
Francis, are you spending all your own money?
At the beginning, I was. When I bought the food truck, I asked my family for help, and I worked out a payment plan so that we could repay the loan. It was $5,000 in 1 year, and we did. Every month, we just put in a little bit into the repayment, and sometimes less, sometimes more, but we were able to pay it off in 1 year.
And Lewis, did you take outside money?
No, I bootstrapped all my locations, but I recently took on a loan to build out my 3rd location. So we're building that. We're in the process of building that now. So all the ones that existed, I didn't take any outside money.
Do you think you would have been able to get a loan for the first one, considering you hadn't ever done that before?
Probably so, yeah.
Because I think without a track record, it can be pretty tricky, right? banks want collateral, they want you to give you them your house or something, right?
Yeah. So so seeing that we like bootstrapped everything, is we didn't have much debt, and we try to always, you know, keep a good credit score and have equity in something, like you said, like a home or a building. So I think that's key too, you know, not over leveraging yourself to make yourself available and attractive to banks.
Did anyone get, I see a question here, anybody getting business grants from, you know, the different kinds of programs that encourage economic development?
I have gotten some grants from the city of Longmont and from the state of Colorado. Yeah. And the application process was fairly simple. All you have to really show is your profit and losses and your balance as a business.
Karina, did you guys get any grant money?
No. It was just the first round of investment that we got.
Are you planning to go back for more?
Yeah, we're actually looking for investors now. So we're talking to several VCs almost daily or multiple times a week. And, you know, investors ask for a lot of things. And it's a lot of work too, you know, you gotta have your numbers straight. They want to see, you know, where you're going, how your growth is happening, and how you're doing it, everything basically. But that takes time.
Yes, it does. So actually brings up a really good question. All three of you are EforAll alumni and hopefully got a lot of support through the EforAll program and met great people that moved you forward. But are there specific advisors, professionals, whether it's your accountant or your attorney or your banker, or maybe your EforAll mentor stayed with you, who were really critical in the growth path of your business? Like, who's been helping you and looking over your shoulder and mentoring you on an ongoing basis?
My David Parker has helped me a lot. I was fortunate enough to get
personal attention from our CEO. Not bad.
That's it. So because I was the first, we were in the first cohort ever in the South Coast, he had to come and teach the course so they know how to teach it after him. So we got lucky. So David and I grew a great relationship, and I don't burden him with things. So I only ask him when it's serious. You know, I have other mentors that helped us, but that's one of mine.
Karina, are you guys using an accountant or an attorney to help you with the venture capital process? That could be pretty complicated.
Not currently, no. So we were able to get mentors from the EforAll program, but they aren't involved in the process of you know, talking to VCs or anything like that. We network with a lot of them. We go to startup meetups and startup networking events.
There is somebody offering assistance in the chat for anyone who's looking for grants. So if you want to find that, you can. Francis, who's been your advisor? Is it Jack? That's why you brought him in from Mexico City?
In some ways, yeah, because this is a new partnership. But prior to Jack, I did use my EforAll mentors, and then I got an accountant because that was my next step. And my accountant has been very good at giving me advice on how to do things and how to grow. One of my mentors is still in touch with me. I'm actually catering his son's wedding party. So
isn't that great?
This month. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask each of you in turn a question. Is there a lesson that you would say about growing your business that you would say is a cautionary tale for others who are thinking about growing? And Louis, I don't know if the one that you want to share is the one you started with, which was that, Newport is only a 12-week season, so that's not enough to make money. But as you've grown, is there like a lesson or a piece of advice that you'd say, really watch out for this when you're growing?
Yes, location, for us, it's location, right? It's location, location, location. But I would say, make sure you put the right pieces around you to scale. Because if you don't have the right pieces in place, the infrastructure, you need the infrastructure. If you don't build it with a great foundation, the building will fall down. So I think
tell me what you perceive to be the right pieces.
The right accountant, the right bookkeepers. And then these are the people that I learned the hard way. The bookkeeper, the accountant, your payroll company. Who else? Your supplier, your staff. So I have nightmare stories of all of these, but we won't go into that. But that's what happens, like if you don't have the right people around you. I had a big time firm in Rhode Island that I was referred to for my accountant. Nice guy, super nice guy, great guy. He made a big mistake. And this guy's seasoned and he did very well for himself in business. His secretary made a simple typo error and put us as a LLC when we were an S Corp. And that cost me a lot of money to fix.
He didn't come forward and pay for it himself since it was their mistake? No. And, that's probably an angle I should have took. But I wanted to leave him so bad that because of that I just was like, let me just run, But I did make him give me a discount. I didn't pay him what I owed him. I owed him for my taxes. I said, you need to take some money off of it. But he didn't pay for what it cost me to fix. He didn't pay for his mistake.
Because by the time I got to my new accountant, they were like, hey, but by the way, by him doing this wrong, that's wrong, this is wrong, and this is wrong. You see, so I would say putting the right people around you before you scale.
And you said that this accounting firm though came to you highly recommended, right? Well positioned, yes. People knew about him. So sometimes you can think you have the right team, but you want to trust but verify, right?
Yes. In the first year they did my taxes, they did fine. So we don't know how someone made the mistake the second year.
Karina, do you have a lesson about scaling?
I would say that, growing too fast, if you don't have the resources, can be damaging because you don't want to get spread too thin. But if you're raising money, obviously growing too fast is good. I don't know if it's not a bad problem to have. I think it is a good problem.
Well, I would think in your case, because you're all tech-based. So how many people, you said 2,500 job postings, and how many companies?
So we have over 64,000 users and over 2,500 jobs that have been created in the app.
So the reality is, though, that if you've built a scalable technology, you can handle all that, right? I mean, it's not like if Lewis had, 500 people show up at the grand opening of his cafe that has 50 seats, what's he going to do with them all at once? Because you should be able to handle all that business, right?
Yeah, I think the only time that one of the only times that we were, we didn't know what to do was when we aired at the national level. Then we were having a lot of emails, a lot of employers, a lot of questions, a lot of users, a lot of comments and messages. And we kind of, it was a couple of days of that. But other than that, we've been able to handle it pretty well since we are 11 of us.
That's great. Francis, what did you do when you got the first request for 2 catering jobs on one day?
I didn't sleep, literally. I stayed up cooking all night for them. So I would say be willing to work sometimes hard and feel really tired and know that it'll pass. Sometimes it's very, very intense, and those moments do pass. And I agree with both Corina and Luis about knowing who you're teaming up with is really, really important. Luckily, so far so good with my accountant. We're family, so I think we'll have a very good partnership. We are transparent right now, and I hope that we continue to be that way, right? So the other thing is, I agree that growing too fast, it's a good problem to have, but it can feel very overwhelming and it'll bring you to tears. So have people that you can just let it all out. It's okay to cry. I have cried with Diego from Chamba. I have cried with EforAll, actually. So, give yourself the space to just let it all out, because why not grow? Become a millionaire, but also let it out.
No, I think that having cheerleaders and a support system for yourself, for your business, because you're still a human being and you still have support needs, is great advice. That's great, Francis. We have a question. Can any of the panelists speak to creating a streamlined back end? I'll clarify that. Is that, how do you create the systems and organization so that you can scale? So Lewis doesn't have to reinvent the wheel when he opens a 4th store because he knows how to do it. Did you create a notebook? Do you have a training program? How do you create something that is scalable, that has systems and operations?
So that's what we did. We got pretty lucky because a client of mine was a general manager of many food locations. Like the restaurant had he was in charge of 10 locations. So when we opened, he taught us about systems. So we learned everything is a system. So how we open, we have how we open, how we close, how we prep, everything. We created all these systems that we can just replicate. And we're now in the process of putting them in what is called the Red Book. We're going to do it digitally. So everything goes in there. All the recipes go in there. How we do everything, from cleaning our juicer to cleaning our oven every night. So we can create better systems.
Yeah, my example I use with our EforAll Berkshire County things is there's a reason there's a McDonald's University, because every McDonald's has those systems in place. Now, I'm not saying we all want to create McDonald's, but the reason they can franchise themselves is they have it down to a system. If you walk into one of their bathrooms, they have that thing printed out. When was it last inspected? What are the initials of the person? They have systems in place, because to be able to grow, you need to be able to have that operational manual. Francis and Jack, do you guys have that for your catering job, so you don't have to think of how many tamales to order every time? You know all that stuff, right?
Sort of. I have this goal of also having a process manual for processes by the end of this year. So it's not written. We have a few recipes written up, but yeah, it needs to be compiled and put together. All the processes, like what to take and everything. Yeah, the equipment, all that. So that's a big task that we have to finish.
All right, it's on your list.
So that these things are flexible, right? Because as you do more and more, you improve and you change.
Terrific, thank you. I want to ask a question also, and I'm going to start with Lewis. I don't know if we lost Corina, but how do you hire people in this environment? It feels like anybody can find a job doing something else, and it's so hard to find good people and to keep them loyal and honest and not taking cash out of your till and giving their friends a copy of the key or giving away free juice. How do you find good people, Lewis?
For us, we try to go on a referral kind of basis, and we also have a 3-day training system where if we realize that within the first 3 days that we see that they might not meet the needs of the company, then we just tell them, it's just thank you for your time. But we go into the interview prepared to tell them that it's you know, a 3-day training, and we will see where we are after the end of the 3 days.
So what's a red
the
flag?
managers are
What's a
always
red
watching
flag
them.
for you during training? They don't put their phone away. They come back smelling of smoke. What are the red flags?
A red flag is someone that is disinterested, is just standing around, wants to have their hands in their pockets or their arms folded, isn't asking questions. That's a little bit of a red flag right there.
So it probably costs you a couple $100 to have that person sit in a 3-day training, but that's better than hiring someone and then not having them do the job, right?
Right. It's great for us. It's great because we go in with the expectation of we're going to evaluate you again. Like, so they know, and we know. So we're putting it right out there that it's a 3-day, you know, training, and we'll after the 3 days, we can make a decision.
How did you put all of that together? I mean, that's a huge job, creating a 3-day training for your staff.
We did it with some trial and error. At first, we were doing like, you know, it was longer, and then some days were short. Like we messed around with it and figured out like 3 days is good enough for them to know what they're doing on certain stations. We don't put them right into the food station. They touch on the food station. We run them through it, of course, but we don't throw them right on the food station because lunchtime is very difficult. So we work them in slowly, and if they work out, then they continue on.
And you do the training yourself?
No, the managers do the training.
So you have managers of each of your locations?
Yes.
That's a lot to have on them. That's a lot. Yeah.
We got
Okay.
shift leaders, you know, there's 2 different team members.
All right, Francis and Jack, how do you hire people, find good people? I mean, if somebody wants to stand there and sell quesadillas, you know, at a market style catering, it sounds like a fun job, but it doesn't fit everybody, right?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you that we don't have a system yet, especially right now that we don't have any employees because they left. I found my first helper at a boba tea. She was actually making boba and coffee, and I asked her, "Hey, mija, this is a part-time job?" "Yes." "Do you want to work a little more?" "Sure." "Okay, well, call me if you are interested. This is what I do." And her mother called me. And so then for catering, I told her mother, if you bring me a person that can be a server in the catering, and it's a good one, at the end of the day, you get $15 for each head. And so that system has worked.
Referral bonuses are great, especially if you have good employees.
Well, I had, because like I said, in the pandemic, it all fell apart, and they had to go get full-time jobs because they were struggling in their families. And so now we're starting Jack and me.
Okay, there was a question earlier on about using social media to increase your following, and I did not ask it at the time, but I'm going to ask it now. And it looks like we've lost Karina, but she's the expert in that. Louis, what's happening, and who does the social media for your business?
So we have a outside company that handles our social media, but like I said, we're involved in it. Like, we have a marketing meeting every Tuesday at 2:00. So we're talking about photos. We're talking about what's the next thing we're going to do, how much more video, what kind of content we need. And really, like, I spearhead that because I'm very involved with the marketing. So I'm like, you know, I think we need to promote, like, perfect example is a couple weeks ago, I created a Salads and Smiles campaign. And then I just said, you know, let's do some salads and smiles type things. And then we go on and, you know, we all chime in. It's me, my wife, guy Dave, and a young lady Peyton, and we all just brainstorm every Tuesday. We go over our analytics, see what's working, what did the best, if we want to push something any longer. We go through all of it. We basically do Facebook and Instagram. Instagram's our big one. We do Facebook and Instagram. And we also do email marketing as well, as far as like, you know, when we give promotions and stuff like that. So we've done a lot. We've done a lot of stuff.
Thank you, Louis. Francis, what you doing?
For social media, it's also really good to plan out your content and know what you the message you want to give out to your customers. Also, it's important to know who your potential customers are, so you can direct yourself towards them. All these platforms like Facebook and Instagram, they're very easy to use, and they show you a lot of analytics on who your audience is, and you can learn a lot from looking at data. And by looking at who your audience is and how they interact with your company and your profiles, you can change your strategy a bit and update it in order for your customers to keep interested and keep loyal with your company and interested on what you're doing and what you're planning on doing in the future.
I know that food trucks historically have followings on all the social media platforms because they move place to place. So people need to know where you are on a specific day. So that makes perfect sense. Okay, we are in the last few minutes of this, and so many of you have stayed with us the whole time, which thank you so much. Who has a question that they want to ask, or even pose a question around your own business? And what would you do if you were me? And tell us your question and problem. We're all friends here. We're all part of the EforAll family. And you could promote your business a little bit. So anybody want to talk?
Maybe I can go.
There you go.
Hey guys, this is Manali here. I'm just in the phase of starting up my own e-commerce for anything that is plant and floral inspired products. The segment I'm focusing on is more like jewelry and home decor items. So I think at times, because this is literally like a one-man army thing, I feel overwhelmed, and I think the overwhelmed side is coming more onto the side of like, what is a good number to start when you're entering an industry, which is like where people have more choices to make, right? So it's not like a single product. So in my head, sometimes I think, oh, should I be offering 100 products to start with? Or should I just start with like 10 products, grow my audience, and then keep introducing new and new products? So any, like I would say, guidance or any feedback of what might be like good number of products to launch a new business with?
I'm not sure.
I would say start with your best sellers. Like start with your best sellers and focus on those. Like maybe take four or five things that you are your best sellers and go from there. That's what I think. And don't put out too much too fast, because then you're working all over the place in the range of left all the way to right, 1 through 10. 10 products is a lot. I would start with 4 and just try to do the best you can with those and really market those. And then come with the other products after, because you can release, if you have 10 products, you start off with 4, you can release 8 more products in 1 year, or 6 more products. You can fill out the rest of the year with a product a month.
That totally makes sense.
Are there any other people who have e-commerce businesses on the call? It doesn't have to even be a panelist who maybe has some insight into that. My instinct would have been very much similar to Louis's, as pick a couple of really great ones and start with that. Like, let's say it's a pattern or something, and do it in a couple of different shirts or t-shirts or something, but lead with a market, a first beachhead into the market, and then expand would be my my advice. Any e-commerce experts here? Lisa, are you still with us? I know you sell stuff online. Lisa Bellotta. Yes, no?
Yes, I used to work in e-commerce for about 3 years. I used to be at a company that's called BenQ, which is an international technology company which sells monitors and projectors, all that kind of stuff. So something very important that I learned is, as Louis says, you have to know your products and know your clients. So it's very important to keep your business simple for yourself to manage, you know? So you can get to know the best products you have and focus on those, maybe even promote those products. And as you grow, you can start adding more products and growing the business up to other sides, because you need to specialize on something that makes your business unique and your business stand out. And after you have that, you can start growing in other directions.
Great. Lisa, do you want to unmute and answer how you started online? I know that you're on this call trying to decide a few things yourself, but I know you do have some history selling online.
I do have some, excuse me. I have a website, and I started a different kind of phase of my business on Etsy originally, and then moved over to my own stuff to save some money and consolidate all the fees and all the crazy accounting with it. But I do equally retail online and in person at fairs and markets and such. But of course, COVID's killed that. So my other half is on wholesale at stores in the local area around Berkshire. So, you know, I'm trying to decide right now, there's not a lot of great options for retail face-to-face. That's working out so great. I got I got obliterated by Elsa for the first really big fair that I invested a lot of money in. Everything just got destroyed. So I'm trying to decide if I should keep going that way and plug in further and reinvest and buy more stuff for face-to-face, or just really go for it online and, you know, just kind of stay in that platform, or just skip it all and just get more stores and work behind the scenes. So
Lisa, when you started with your products, did you start with a lot of products or just one or two?
I started with a basic line, actually. I kind of just jumped in. So I had like a basic home care, basic body stuff we were using around the house anyway. And then I've expanded a few things outside of that just to test and see what sticks, what doesn't. You know, some things have come and gone. I kind of used it as a test to see what things people really wanted, really needed, really didn't feel like making themselves or searching out online.
Great. Anyone else want to share their dilemma or question for our panelists or for the other folks on the call?
I would love to, if it's okay.
Sure, go right ahead, Cassandra.
So my name is Cassandra, and I am the owner of a business called Brightside Entertainment, and we are an entertainment agency that offers over 200 options for live music, musicians, bands, and DJs. So we do mostly weddings, but we also do festivals and corporate events and private parties and lots of other things. And sorry, I have my 1-year-old daughter. She just woke up from a nap and she's kind of in my face here. Here, baby. So I guess with me, having such a large roster of artists, you know, different types of bands, everything from, you know, steel pan to barbershop quartets to DJs to 11-piece wedding reception bands. It's kind of created a larger clientele. And I think what happened with me is, although we're doing well and we're growing every single year, what happened with me is I seem to kind of be in a lot of places at once, if that makes sense. So that's why I was asking about, you know, streamlining the processes and procedures that, you know, help your business grow. Because for me right now, you know, outside of having some similar problems to Kimberly with, you know, not having enough money to hire someone on full time, maybe, you know, part-time or, you know, virtual assistant is what I've been doing. I also feel like I'm kind of spread too thin, offering too much and not having a very specific procedure in place for every, you know, we've gotten over 40 5-star reviews. We do a fantastic job, but you don't see it on the front end, but on the back end, it's just a little chaotic. And I think that if I were to be able to streamline that a little bit better, then it would free up time for me. And I would be able to, you know, like the Juice Cafe was saying, you know, be able to just put, you know, this is the process for this and this is the process for that, you know how to do it and it just gets done, versus me kind of being like, did I remember to do this? And did I track that in that Excel spreadsheet?
I think you're exactly right, Cassandra. And I think what I've seen, and you know, I was a business coach before I came to work at EforAll, and what I will tell you is that the first task for folks like you guys who feel overwhelmed is to just track your own time. You don't know what's keeping you busy and occupying you and pulling you in 14 different directions until you start to actually document it. Oh, look, this morning I spent 5 minutes on Words with Friends before I opened my email. It's like, yeah, you got to cross that off. You can do that later in front of the TV. But in the meantime, like, were you looking for employees? Were you returning phone calls? Were you handling customer service? And then once you have an analysis of it, then you can figure out how to deploy systems. So among other things, you might create some standardized templates for answering emails. So you don't type out an answer to everyone, but you literally find the right one and you send it. But until you understand what it is you're spending time doing, you can't get better at being organized and handling it. Kimberly's asking for a tool. There are some time trackers, although I hate adding one more system to my life. I would literally just have a piece of paper and go, I just spent 15 minutes looking for this file. I just spent 20 minutes doing this. Just watch yourself for a week or so and just see what happens. So I don't know if Louis or Francis and Jack want to add anything to this in terms of thinking about how you're spending your time.
What I was told, like, I'm fortunate because I have clients and I just pick all my clients' brains. And one of my clients, he successful guy, he said that pay someone to do the things you hate and do the things you love, which makes sense. Like, if you can offload any of it, go through it. And it's funny, I just had this conversation with my wife last week. I said, let's find the things that you hate and we'll take them off your plate. Because no matter what, like he told me, he said, no matter what, you're never gonna love to do that. So if you can afford to take some things off of your plate and then just focus on the things that you love. Now, of course, you're not going to be able to take them all off your plate, but let's start with the big ones, right? Like, let's get the big ones out of the way, because no matter what, you're not going to be happy doing it. And that's huge.
And if
right?
you hate doing it, you're probably not doing it well either. And it's sitting at the bottom of your pile and it might be really important and you still need to do it.
I didn't want to say that, Deborah, but you're the boss. So I'm glad you did, because that's what I was going to say.
I feel like you're totally
Cassandra,
right.
Real quick, I was listening to an audiobook and it said that we cause procrastination on the things that we don't like to do. And I was just driving the other day and I'm listening to this audiobook and I'm like, wow, you're right. The stuff that you hate to do, you're just gonna keep putting off longer. And then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, you know, the task. So if you could do that, I mean, you sound like you're pretty busy. You got a lot of people. That I was wondering if you was close to here. But yeah, well, that's good.
We serve the whole, right now I'm located in Manchester, New Hampshire. For years, I did the EforAll Accelerator in Lowell. For years, I was in Billerica. But we serve the whole of New England. We were doing events in Maine, Vermont, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, you know, Rhode Island, and I have musicians all over. Even musicians that travel from New York to, you know, different states. And I mean, honestly, if you have the budget, we can do just about anywhere. But we do focus mostly on New Hampshire and Massachusetts, but we are also doing all of the rest of New England.
All right. Can you drop your email, your website in the chat?
Sure.
Thanks.
We're actually coming up to the end. And this was, without a doubt, one of the most interesting and lively deep dives we had. Karina seems to have gotten herself locked out and I couldn't stop the middle of everything to get her back, but I really enjoyed hearing what she had to say. So thank you to our panelists, Louis, Francis, Jack, Karina, all of our audience members. We will be sending out the recording so you can share it with friends, partners, anyone else you would like to. And we'll give you the URLs of the folks who are our panelists. If you want to reach out to them, again, that you can do that. This was terrific. Next month's deep dive is going to be about networking. It's making those connections that you need to build your business. And there was networking going on in the chat, right? I think Kimberly got a virtual assistant already and somebody else got a grant funder. So EforAll is all about the connections. Thank you all for coming. September 20th. I hope to see you again at the next time. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you.